Jayarata Matovo Kunja Bihari Rata Matovo Kunja Bihari Gopi Janbalaba Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Janvalaba Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Motova Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Motova Kunja Bihari Gopi Janabalaba Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Janabalaba Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Matava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Matava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paragraj Jigacharya Shatara Satashishima His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīmad Prabhupada Ki Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrindi Ki Grantara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Ki Nitai Go Premanandi. All glories is assembled devotees. All glories is assembled devotees. All glories is assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Narayanam namaskritya naram cheva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayat. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Is that camera, is it centered? It looks up on the screen, looks like it's off to the side. Centered? Okay. That's good. Reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 9, chapter entitled The Appearance of the Demon, Vritrasura, text number 46 onwards. Shri Shuka Uvacha Ataivam idito rajan Sadaram tri dashair hari Swamupastanam akanya Prahatan abhinandita Ataivam idito rajan Sadaram tri dashair hari Swamupastanam akanya Prahatan abhinandita Ataivam idito rajan Sadaram tri dashair hari Swamupastanam akanya Prahatan abhinandita Anyone else in the universe can chant the shloka? Or Matajis? Someone? Very good. Shri Shuka Uvacha. Shri Shukadev Goswami said, Ata, thereafter. Evam, in this way. Idita, being worshipped and offered obeisances. Rajan, O king. Sa'adaram, with proper respect. Tri Dashai, by all the demigods from the higher planetary systems. Hare, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Swam Upastanam, their prayer glorifying Him. Akarnya, hearing. Praha, replied. Tan, unto them, the demigods. Abhinandita, being pleased. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīmad Prabhupada. Sri Shukadeva Goswami continued, O King Parikshit, when the demigods offered the Lord their sincere prayers in this way, the Lord listened by His causeless mercy. Being pleased, He then replied to the demigods. Text 47. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. It's okay. Prito hamva sura streshta mad upastana vidyaya amaishwarya smriti pumsam bhaktischaiva yayamai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O beloved demigods, you have offered your prayers to me with great knowledge, and I am certainly most pleased with you. A person is liberated by such knowledge, and thus he remembers my exalted position, which is above the conditions of material life. Such a devotee is fully purified by offering prayers in full knowledge. This is the source of devotional service to me. Purport. Another name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Uttama Shloka, which means that He has offered prayers with selected verses. Bhakti means Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, chanting and hearing about Lord Vishnu. Impersonalists cannot be purified, for they do not offer personal prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even though they sometimes offer prayers, the prayers are not directed toward the Supreme Person. Impersonalists sometimes show their incomplete knowledge by addressing the Lord as being nameless. They always offer prayers indirectly, saying, you are this, you are that, but they do not know to whom they are praying. A devotee, however, always offers personal prayers. A devotee says, Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Govinda, unto Krishna. This is the way to offer prayers. If one continues to offer such personal prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is eligible to become a pure devotee and return home back to Godhead. Om Gyan Timidandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubi Evacha Petitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, this is a nice chapter of the Bhagavatam, the appearance of the demon Vritrasura. So here we're hearing about pure devotional service. The Bhagavatam speaks about pure devotional service, Amala Bhakti, or Uttama Bhakti, or Kevala Bhakti, or Shuddha Bhakti. This means pure devotional service. There are many Shastras, there are many scriptures. And actually, Vyasadeva, he was given the task to compile the Vedas. So he compiled all the Vedas, which means what we call the Smriti and the Shruti, which means there was 108 Upanishads, which he, no talking, I can't concentrate when people are talking. Is that okay? Okay. So 108 Upanishads, which are the philosophical part of the Vedas. And then there are the Itihasas and the Puranas, which are part of the Smriti. So that part of the Vedas means there are 18 Puranas, major Puranas. There are 18 minor Puranas. There's Mahabharata, there's Ramayana, right? There's Ayurveda, there is Dhanurveda. There's a lot of Vedic scripture. Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, Upasana Kanda, right? All these different. So he compiled everything. So that's a lot of work. And who was helping him? Ganesh. Ganesh has how many arms? 4 arms, right? Because he was writing. And when he got tired, then swap over. So he could just write and write and write. And Vyasadeva could speak, and he was just writing everything. He was the scribe. So he wrote all of the Vedic literatures. So it's a lot of work, right? Days and days and days, maybe weeks, maybe months, maybe years, of writing and writing. And then, at the end of the whole thing, Vyasadeva felt dissatisfied, which is significant. Imagine you do all of this work for the benefit of humanity, right? How do we feel satisfied in life? Right? You feel satisfied when you're serving others, right? And that's the problem with the modern world. Everyone's trying to serve themselves, and they've all got mental health problems, right? You see there's like a mental health pandemic all over the world. That's basically because people are too into themselves. Oh, this happened to me when I was 7, and this happened to me when I was 18, and this happened to me when I was 23. And that's true. All those things are significant. We don't discredit those things or diminish those things. But how are you going to overcome them if you just concentrate on yourself? Right? Oh, this happened to me, and that happened to me, and I can't do this because this happened to me. And everyone's very self-indulgent in Kali Yuga. Right? And that's why everyone has mental health problems. Now, Vyasadeva is teaching us, don't worry about yourself so much, right? You'll forget about your problems, or your problems will become diminished, or they'll become in perspective when you serve others, right? Other people are suffering right now, right? Krishna consciousness is spreading more than ever right now. Why? Because people are suffering, right? When people are suffering, it's a good time to spread Krishna consciousness. And the world's just going to get more and more intense in the next decade. Mark my words. It's not me saying it, this is what everyone's predicting. It's going to become more intense. Right? Things aren't going to become easier and more livable. The world is going to become more difficult. So what does this mean for us? It means a good time to spread Krishna consciousness. This is the perfect time. Now, because people will listen at the moment. Just like on the weekend, we had our Sunday feast. Once a month we have a Sunday feast at the farm. So we had about 25 guests, they came. And most of them were Western people. And they're very sincere, asking very good questions. I don't lecture at the farm on Sunday feast. I don't give a lecture, I just say, any questions or comments? I'll speak for 10 minutes or something. Now I say, what do they want to know? And they're asking very sincere questions. Why? Because they're suffering. Right? So when people are suffering, they're much more, they have much more impetus to inquire about the philosophy and to learn about the philosophy. So that means it's a very good time. So Vyasadeva is teaching us that this is the way to spread Krishna consciousness. This is the way to become Krishna conscious. You worry about elevating other personalities, and then your problems become minuscule, or they become in perspective. We all have problems. We all had things that happened to us when we were 7, and I had something that happened to me the day before I was born. All these things are kept in our subtle body. Like you have some scars. It means, when you go through traumas in life, it gets kept in your subtle body. Right? And that's why later on in life, you have this problem, you have that problem. And that. So, the day before I was born, even before I came out of the womb, there was a problem. So I've got that in my subtle body to deal with. So what do? Do I spend my whole life saying, well, now I have to deal with that day before I was born? No, I just go out and try to spread Krishna consciousness to others. And then, okay, the day before I was born, something happened. Okay, that happened. It comes into perspective. You understand the point? So Vyasadeva is teaching us become more concerned about the conditioned souls and their suffering. This is called paradukkha dukkhi. We're more worried about what other people are going through than what we are going through. Right? Prabhupada was like that. Srila Prabhupada was on his deathbed, in 1977, near the very end. And he heard that Brahmananda Prabhu was sick. And Prabhupada's laying there. Prabhupada's emaciated. Like Prabhupada was in a very fragile condition, materially speaking. And then he said he woke up because Prabhupada was resting a lot. His body was very weak. Prabhupada woke up and someone was leading kirtan. Prabhupada said, okay, who? And they said, Brahmananda Prabhupada. Brahmananda was leading kirtan for Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, Brahmananda, are you okay? I heard you were sick. This is Prabhupada. Prabhupada's like, his body's completely weak. Prabhupada said, I heard you were sick. Because Brahmananda caught some cold or something. This is Prabhupada, right? Always thinking about the suffering of the conditioned souls. Not worrying so much about himself. This is the way an elevated devotee thinks. So Vyasadeva is thinking like that. The conditioned souls, they are suffering. Let me write all the Vedas. Right? But then, after he does it all, he feels despondent. He feels like, I don't feel satisfied, I don't feel complete. Something is wrong. Right? So what is that? Right? So then Narada comes, this is all in Canto 1, chapter 4, 5 and 6 of Canto 1, describes this pastime of how Bhagavatam manifests. So he comes and he says, why do you feel despondent? The face is the index of the mind. When we look at your face, we know what's going on in your mind. I can only see half your face, so I'm only half sure what's going on in your mind. But I can see your eyes. The eyes are the gateway to the soul. So I can see. You are happy, you are blissful, you just returned from Braj, Vrindavan. So you're feeling very peaceful. I can detect that. So he looks at his face and he thinks, no, he is not happy, he's not satisfied. He said, why is that? That's what the guru does. The guru looks at your face and says, or the advanced devotee, they look at your face and say, oh, you're not feeling satisfied, why is that? Could it be? And then they give you the reason, because they're very elevated in consciousness. Could it be that you did not exclusively glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Uttama Shloka? Did you not exclusively? It means that when he wrote the Bhagavad, because he wrote the Bhagavatam is one of the 18 Puranas, the Bhagavad Purana. He wrote it the first time, but it wasn't complete. It wasn't an Amala Purana. In other words, pure devotional service was not exclusively spoken of. In other words, the Bhagavatam, the first time he wrote it, it was still tinged by the modes of nature, as the other Puranas are said to be. Right? 6 in goodness, 6 in passion, 6 in rajas. But Bhagavatam is not in those modes. Right? It is completely spotless. So he says, could it be you did not exclusively? So then now he has to write it again. So then, pure devotional service is the only thing that will satisfy the soul. You have to do devotional service to Krishna, but without any motivation. You don't want anything except to serve Krishna, to make him happy. That is pure devotional service. Sometimes, many of us, if you look at yourself honestly, then you'll see that it's not just to satisfy Guru and Krishna and Vaishnavas. It's not always like that. Sometimes there's some other motivation there. There's so many anarthas in the heart, so many other reasons that motivate us to do the service. But Bhaktivedanta Thakur says, of all the anarthas, because the Bhakti Lata, Bij, right, the Bhakti Lata grows. So as the devotional creeper grows, it explains, Chaitanya Charitamrita analyzes this very nicely. Other weeds, they grow along with the creeper. And sometimes you think the weeds are the creeper. And sometimes we think that as conditioned souls. So all these weeds, they grow. But which weed is the strongest, the hardest to pull out, and which looks the most like the creeper? Which one? Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. That's not one of the specific anatta, but yeah, you can say like that, false ego. But yeah, something specific within the false ego. Yeah, it is called Pratishta. Pratishta. All the weeds are there. So many weeds are there. Big problem. In the garden, there's a big problem. Right? If you're growing anything, you know there's a lot of weeds that compete. But this weed is very challenging, called Pratishta. What is Pratishta? Yeah, it means the desire for recognition. Oh, did someone see me do it? I did the service, but did someone see me do the service? Does everyone know I did the service? And everyone thinks, he's doing the service, and he does it so nicely. He is very special, more special than the others, actually. You know, you can be offering arati to the deities, but then while you're offering the arati, you should be meditating on Krishna. Is Krishna satisfied? Am I serving Krishna through this arati? The artis is a whole meditation when you offer arati, actually. Right? But you might be thinking, I'm offering it. You know, my little finger is out, which is very special, very important. And then everyone notices that I am doing the arati and how nicely I make the circles and do the waves and all these things. You know, sometimes we think like that. You're doing the arati, but you're thinking like this. Everyone must be thinking, he does it very nicely. Right, that is pratishta. You want recognition for your service. You want everyone to recognize you. This devotee is special. He did it. All of us need encouragement in devotional service. What's the main thing we need in our devotional service in our life, right? From our superiors. We need recognition. We need acknowledgement, right? If you work for a company, right? Many of you have worked, in the world, or you're working in the world. What's the main thing you want from your boss or your superiors, right? When they survey people, it's not the money. The money is there, and that motivates people strongly, but it's not the main thing, because you can get good money. But if you don't get recognition or acknowledgement, or if someone is saying you did a good job, some praise, right, from your superiors, you don't feel satisfied. That's what people want more than anything else. And that's what creates a good culture. So it's natural, we want that. But we can't become attached to it, because sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not there. Right? Sometimes we get it, but sometimes we don't get it. It doesn't come all the time. And Krishna will test us, actually. Right? Sometimes Krishna will give it to us, but then other times he will hold it back. Or sometimes, I don't know if it's ever happened to you, you can put your hand up. Did Krishna embarrass you in front of the whole devotional community? Has he ever done that to you? Anyone? Yeah, a couple of devotees are saying. Okay. Sometimes it happens. Or maybe not the whole community, but, enough. Everyone who knows you, or, it happens sometimes, right? Suddenly everyone's looking at you thinking, why did you do that? Why are you acting like that? We get criticized. We don't like that. We have to be, Tim, just go a little bit more on the side. Yeah, back should not be to the deities. That's okay. Just a little bit more. That's good. Yeah, that's good, yeah. Yeah, Prabhupada used to, if you see the video where Prabhupada is sitting there, if you see the video and Prabhupada gives class and Prabhupada's sitting there, everyone sits like this, sideways, like this, while he's giving class. Because Prabhupada said, where you're sitting, he said, don't put your back to Krishna. Right? So don't put your back to Krishna, don't put your back to Prabhupada. That's why we offer obeisances this way. You don't want your feet going there or there. That's aparad. That's why we do like that. And also, just be conscientious. Just twist a little. Yeah.
It's just that we're so used to seeing everyone else do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Korma Prabhu used to pick everyone up on this, because he was there when Prabhupada did it. So he used to always say to the devotees, don't do it. But now, things get lost over time. We have to keep the parampara connected. It is a duty of all of us to hold the parampara. Because Prabhupada, he himself did it. He said, everyone like this, like that. You see in the class, everyone's like looking at Prabhupada like this. It's important, like that. That's why we have the class here, so devotees can it's easy. You can see Prabhupada and you see the deities. So sometimes this happens. Krishna takes away all of your reputation even. That's a test from Krishna. Because sometimes we like to be recognized. But Krishna says, will you still serve me when everyone is looking down on you? Or will you still serve me when I embarrass you or I take away your pride? Will you still serve me? This is important to understand. Because sometimes we'll do the service, but only when everyone recognizes us and only when everyone says nice things about us. As long as everyone is glorifying us. Right? When we're getting glorified and recognized, we say, okay, I will do the service. But when everyone says, wait a minute, there's some problems there, then maybe we become despondent. That's not pure devotional service. So it should not be based on Pratishta. Pratishta is very hard to give up, the desire for recognition in devotional service. We all have it, right? It's in all of our hearts, right? It's in my heart. I see sometimes, someone recognizes me, and I think, that's nice. I like that. And we do. It's natural to like that, but don't become attached to it. Don't let it motivate you. And don't let it be the main driving force in your bhakti. Don't serve Krishna only when you're getting recognized. That has to be. The good thing about ISKCON is that you usually get criticized quite a lot anyway. Is it? Is that true? Yeah, I think it's true. We usually get criticized. You don't have to worry so much in ISKCON. Usually once in a while everyone says, you're a nonsense, so. So it doesn't matter, everyone humbles you anyway. That's why we have to associate with the Vaishnavas, Sadhu Sangha. You see, some devotees, they go away from the devotees. Why? Because when you're with the devotees, it's actually somewhat intense. When you're with the devotees, it purifies you. Your ego gets purified. And sometimes we don't like that, so we keep away from the devotees, which it may not be so good. It might be better being with the devotees, getting purified in the fire of devotional service, getting your ego smashed. And what's the best way to smash someone's ego? The best way to smash someone's ego is to ignore them. That's even worse. My guru did that to me one day. He came to Melbourne. I hadn't seen him for 6 months or 12 months. He came. And I think he was there for a week. For about 5 days, he did not talk to me. Just completely ignored me. Just to bring my ego down. First 2 days I'm serving him, I'm thinking, it's all going well. I'm the best servant. I serve him, no one serves him as well as me. And then after the next 5 days, did not speak to me. And then just brought my ego down. Right? And then as he left, then one time when he left, he grabbed me by the arm and he said, don't feel bad if I get on your case. He said, don't feel bad. Because he's purifying. That's what the guru does. That's what the advanced devotees do. They purify us. So that is the system. So we should not let Pratishta govern our devotional service or wrap up our devotional service or strangle our devotional service because it has to be removed. So many material desires, they have to be removed over time. One time I was chanting at Radha Kund at the Bhajan Kutir of Raghunath Das Goswami. It's one of my favorite places to chant. Have you been there? Yeah, very powerful place. Yeah, I chant my japa there a lot. If I'm near Radha Kund, so powerful. Manasa Pavangat. It's a very powerful place. So I'm chanting my japa there, and I'm the only one there. So I'm chanting in Raghunath Das Goswami in front of his bhajan. I'm trying to pray for his mercy and chant my japa nicely, and then one there's like Bengali widow. They wear white. Many of them live at Radha Kund. So she came, and then she offered obeisances to the Bhajan Kutir Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and then she went to Raghunath Das Goswami, and then she saw the picture of Raghunath Das. There was a pastime there where he was chanting, and then 2 tigers came. And he was chanting so deeply, he didn't notice there were tigers next to him, drinking from Radha Kund. This is back 500 years ago, 400 years ago. It's not like that now at Radha Kund. You don't see tigers. But back then, the tigers came. So he's chanting, and tigers are there, and Sanatana Goswami was on the other side of Radha Kund. And he looked across, and he was concerned. Imagine one of the devotees is chanting, Hare Krishna, and there's a tiger right here, drinking the water. right? And Sanatana Goswami, he looked. And then he looked behind Raghunath Das. Krishna is standing there. Krishna is watching, protecting Raghunath. Krishna is standing. And he looks at Sanatana Goswami and he smiles and poof, disappears. And the tiger goes away. And then Sanatana Goswami comes around and he says to Raghunath Das, he says, build yourself a kutia, a hut. You know, you've got tigers coming. You might get eaten, you know, and you're making Krishna serve you. Don't take service from Krishna. Right? And he said, okay, I will build a kutia, I will build something. But he was so absorbed in his chanting, he didn't do it. He just kept chanting, right? Okay, devotees get absorbed, so okay. So then, sometime later, he was chanting and it was hot. It gets very hot in Vrindavan. Like now, if you go to Vrindavan now, 40 degrees. How hot was it there when you were there? Yeah, getting like up. It gets really hot. So like, you know, it was the other days like 40 plus. So he's chanting and he's so absorbed that the sun is burning him and he's perspiring, but he doesn't even know. He's just chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna. So Radharani comes, and Radharani puts her veil over him to protect him from the sun. But then now she is perspiring because she has to stand there. And then Sanatana Goswami looks and she smiles and then disappears. And then he runs around the kund and he says, you nonsense. He said, now Radharani is serving you. Don't do this. Build yourself a kutia. Don't make Radharani, don't give her difficulty. And then he said, oh, if Radharani is serving me, then I will build the kutia. He stopped everything, built the kutia. You know, he would not accept service from Radharani. So I'm chanting there at Radha Kund, and this picture is there. And if you look in the kutia, they had this picture of these two pastimes, very powerful pastimes. So this Bengali Mataji, she comes, and she looks into the kutia, and as soon as she sees the pictures, tears just come down her face because she has bhava, or maybe prema. She's on very high level of bhakti, much higher than me, right? So as soon as she sees cry, and she turns around, I'm the only one there. She looks at me, and she, you know, with tears coming down her face, she says, "Just look." She's speaking Bengali. I don't understand what she is saying, but she's telling me. She said, just look at the mercy that Radha and Krishna are giving to Raghunath Das. Right? And that's so much moving her, she is crying. Right? But there was no pratishta. She wasn't doing it to impress me. It was completely full of bhav. It was completely natural. Right? That is Krishna consciousness. Right? But when we do it, you know, sometimes we're chanting, we think, oh, I am the best chanter. Nobody chants like me. Everyone must be seeing that I chant so nicely. You know, like that. We get all sorts of crazy things go in our mind. You know, if we actually, Radha Charan Prabhu was giving class one time, he said, you know, everyone chants japa in the morning, all the men. He said, we put a big screen up above Prabhupada and connect everyone's brains to it, you know, what actually goes through our minds while we're chanting. It'd be like some comedy show or something. You know, if we're all looking up there and saying, my God, is that what you think while you're chanting? You know, we think all sorts of things. The mind goes all over the place. So the point is that Vyasadeva wrote all the Vedas, but then he had to do it again to just bring pure devotional service to the forefront. That's what the Bhagavatam is teaching us. So we have to learn to give up all these other motivations in devotional service, right? Our devotional service is motivated by so many other things. Sometimes material enjoyment. Just like I heard that in certain places in India, some of our temples, people join just because the standard of living is better than living outside. You know, join the Brahmacharya ashram. It's true. It happens. Right? It's not really true here in this ashram so much. That's not really the motivation. We have to worry about other things. You know, maybe too much opulence, too much sense gratification. Melbourne Mahaprasad Mandir. Hands up if you've been hungry since you got here. I've been a devotee for over 30 years. I was never hungry once. Except if I make myself hungry. But otherwise, this Saturday is Nirjal, Ekadashi. Yeah, so I'm not going to eat or drink water for the whole day. Once a year, it's not such a big deal. So I'll be hungry by the end of the day, but it doesn't exist in ISKCON. Hunger does not exist, at least in this temple. Devotees we don't even know what hunger means. Right? We just complain if we don't get enough avocado on toast. That is our tapasya. How can we go through so much austerity? We're doing so much seva for Krishna. I can't even get some avocado on my toast. I just have to have just butter. This is my tapasya. They should put that on ISKCON News. The brahmacharis here in Melbourne are doing so much tapasya they don't even get avocado on the toast. An intense suffering, actually. Intense tapasya. But this is what in Kali Yuga, that's actually our problem. So the point is devotional service should be pure, amala, shuddha, kevala, uttama bhakti. This is what the Bhagavatam is speaking about, this pure type of devotional service. So here, the demigods, they're praying to the Lord, and now the Lord, this is himself speaking. This is the beautiful thing about the Bhagavatam. God himself is speaking. Chaitanya Charitamrita is even more wonderful, in a sense. Because in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami says, I'll tell you what goes on in his mind, what he thinks. It's incredible. He says, Krishna was thinking, and then he writes what Krishna is thinking. This is amazing. We're going inside God's mind. Right? Here we're hearing his direct words. This is Krishna himself speaking. The demigods are praying to him, and now how does he respond? So he says, O beloved demigods. A very beautiful way to speak. O beloved demigods. Full of priti, full of love for the devatas. This, like Sachinandan Swami. He always says, when you hear him lecture, my dear devotees. Such a beautiful way to speak. This is how Krishna speaks. My dear devotees. The way he speaks, a very captivating way of speaking. That's the way Krishna speaks. My dear devotees. So he says here, my beloved demigods, you have offered your prayers to me with great knowledge. So what is being emphasized here is we have to cultivate knowledge. Right? How do you fall in love with someone? Right? In this world, everyone's absorbed in calm. Calm means material lust. It means, it's not prema, it's not love. But how do you fall in love with someone in this world? Particularly between men and women, like when they fall in, you have to know about the person. Right? The more you know about the person, the more you become attracted to them. If a boy is interested in a girl or a girl is interested in the boy, they always want to know, they're asking, what do they do? What are they like? And the more you know about them, the more you become captivated by the person. And then once you're captivated, you get married. And after 10 years of marriage, you wish that you'd never... No, that's a different story. But what I'm saying is that you understand what I'm saying. Rupa Goswami says, I want my mind to be attracted to Krishna just like the mind of a young boy is attracted to a young girl, or a young girl is... we all know what it means. Right? We've experienced this in the material world. You become obsessed with the person. We should become obsessed with Krishna. That's why it says here, we have to cultivate knowledge, the Lord is saying. That's why Prabhupada said, you have to study the Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, Bhaktivedanta, and then Bhakti Sarvabhauma courses. Right? And we're fortunate in Melbourne. We have one of the best educational systems in the entire of ISKCON. Right? There are 650 temples around the world in ISKCON. How many of them have Bhakti Shastri courses? No, I think it's less than 10%. Less than 60. How many have Bhakti Vaibhav courses? I think it's only less than 3%, something like that. How many have Bhaktivedanta and Bhakti Sarvabhauma? Less than 1%, I think. Right? It's very rare. This is a very good situation. Right? Why is it like that? Because devotees should study. Why do we study? So we know Krishna. You should know everything about Krishna. Someone says to you, okay, we'll see now. What color are Krishna's eyes? Everyone should know. What color are Krishna's eyes? No, the middle part's black. Yeah, just like in your eyes, the middle part's black, right? The pupil, but the iris, like the part around the colored part. We all have a colored part. What color is that? Yeah, like a dark brown. Yeah, like dark brown. Very beautiful. Very dark brown. And then, Śrīmati Radharani, what color are her eyes? Yeah, dark blue. Dark blue. Very beautiful. If you go to India, and especially it seems to me the Gujarati people, sometimes you see the women, very beautiful sometimes. Some very beautiful girls, Gujarati women. But then, 90% at least of the Indian people have brown eyes. You look at Indian people, nearly always brown eyes. But occasionally you get like a green or a blue in the girls. And it's so beautiful. Right? It's captivating. Right? So Radharani is like that. Right? Dark blue. Right? Most beautiful girl, but then dark blue eyes are captivating. So we should know all these things about Krishna. We should know the details. What are the shape of Krishna's eyes? What's that? Almond. Yeah, almond, yep. Or we could say in the Shastra, how does it say? What's that? Very good, lotus petal. What does a lotus petal look like? Oh. Yeah, I mean, they're here. You've got lotus petals here. Krishna's eyes are like that, like very beautiful, really beautiful shape. And what color, the white part of the eyes? What color are the white part of Krishna's eyes? Pinkish. Why are they pinkish? Because everyone in the spiritual world, their eyes are moist all of the time. When you love someone, when you haven't seen someone for a long time, and you see them again, your eyes become moist. Right? In the spiritual world, it's like that all the time with everyone. Right? Because everyone has so much love for each other, they're just always moist. So when your eyes are moist all that, you see the white part becomes pinkish. So Krishna is pinkish all the time because he has so much love. So many devotees serving him with love that he just feels so grateful that he's just pinkish eyes all the time. That is Krishna. So dark brown, beautiful long, and then the pinkish on there. This is Krishna. We should know all these things. Right? There's so many details and details and details about Radha and Krishna. So we should understand these things. Then this knowledge, it increases your love for the person. Nama, Rupa, Guna, Lila, Dham. We should know all the details of all these things. Where does Krishna live? What does he do? What is he doing right now? Now it's about 8:30, so if it's 8:30 in the spiritual world, what's Krishna doing right now in the Ashtakaliya Lila? Well, he's just about to go out into the forest. In about 5 minutes, he goes out to herd the cows. So he just finishes breakfast. He's just finished breakfast in Nandagram. Good breakfast. You would not believe the breakfast. If I told you what's on the breakfast, you would not believe it. How many courses? Hundreds. Yeah. If you like prasad, hands up, you like prasad. Oh, God. Okay, so if you like prasad, go to the spiritual world. It's a different level. Breakfast, and you don't have to worry about putting on weight. You don't have to worry about falling asleep after breakfast. You just have as much as you want, and you're full of energy again. I want to go there just for this one reason. I can take too much prasad. Then I will be happy for the rest of eternity. So they take prasad, and then, just after prasadam, he's about to take the cows out, but the gopis, they organize a very quick rendezvous with Radharani. Sometimes at Brindakund, which is one of the 3 yoga pits of Radha and Krishna's pastimes. So right now, they're probably just getting ready to leave. They've either just been to Brindakund, then he's come back to Nandagram and he's just leaving to take the cows out. We need to know all of these details about Krishna. Because Prabhupada says here, we need to have bhakti means Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. Right? How do you get Smaranam? By hearing and chanting about Krishna. That's the goal. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. How can you remember him if you don't know anything about him? How can you remember someone if you don't know anything about them? No, you have to know everything about Krishna. There should be so much Krishna in there that whenever someone touches, it just Krishna comes out. That should be the consciousness of all the devotees. So here it is saying, Krishna is saying to the demigods, you have knowledge of me. This is very good. All of us should have knowledge of Krishna. We should become learned. Prabhupada said, this title, Bhaktivedanta, that was Prabhupada's title. AC, Bhaktivedanta. He said that should be the title of all of my disciples and followers. That should be the family title. Which means we should get that level of study. I mean, studying the whole Bhagavatam very carefully. So we'll stop here. We'll see if there's any questions or comments. Anything we... If they don't tell us, that makes it hard. If someone doesn't tell us they're feeling sick, then it's hard to do like that. So generally we should just be compassionate to everyone as much as we can. But if you find out one of the devotees is sick or they have some problem, then you should say, hey, can I serve? Can I help you? Can I do something for you? Like that. Is that okay? Yeah. Yeah. Just try to serve the devotee. If you find out someone is not feeling well, then you should do something to help the devotees. Krishna appreciates this. Krishna appreciates this. There's some Melbourne community, actually, it's one of the best communities on the planet in ISKCON. It's one of the best communities because the devotees look after each other so nicely, right? It's very, very well developed. Prabhu is just about to come this weekend. He's doing a nice retreat with Jagatarini Manji. He said to me one time, he said, Chalpati and Melbourne, he said they're the two best devotional communities I've seen in terms of the quality of the devotees. And it's very special actually here in Melbourne. So, any other question? Good question. To understand we have Pratishta or?
Yeah, with the trauma.
To what?
With the trauma.
Oh, with the traumas? Oh, to deal with the traumas? Yeah, I mean, these days in Kali Yuga, nearly everyone is damaged. Nearly, almost everyone. So, if I actually told you what happened in my life before I became a devotee, you would be shocked. Like the traumas I've been through. Right? And same for everyone. Like if I ask everyone here what you've been through, everyone will tell, and I'll be, well, wow, you've been through that. You've been through so many different things. So it does affect us. It does have traumas. So sometimes we have to see people who are professionals in their fields, like psychologists, psychiatrists, counselors, those things. Sometimes we have to address those things. Or you can just talk to devotees. If you have a good devotee friend, you can speak to them and they can also help you. So sometimes dealing with the chanting the holy name is enough to purify everything. But the problem is many of us are not on the level that we can chant to the degree that it will purify everything. So we may need some help. We may need to see some counselors or something to help like that. So I know devotees are doing that now. That's some very good friends of mine. So if you need to do that, that's okay. But keep chanting. Don't stop chanting, because the chanting is the main thing. Prabhupada said, chant and be happy. Is it okay? Yeah. Do both. Whatever you need to do. But don't become too self-indulgent. Sometimes people, oh, this happened, that. Yeah, it happened to all of us. It happened to all of us. Right? Everyone went through things. Right? Focus on Krishna, that's the main thing. Like that. And deal with those things, but focus on Krishna. Don't get too caught up in it. It's actually a trick of Maya to get too caught up in it. Address it, but don't get overly. Is it okay? Okay. Please come again. Okay. Any other question? Comment? Yeah.
Two questions.
Yes.
Psychologists think that the ego
Yeah.
and the false ego.
Yeah.
Isn't it the false ego that needs to be smashed?
Yeah.
And isn't it healthy to have a sincere, strong ego like Kesava and I'm 10? The false ego is the one that needs to be smashed in this guy. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, you're right, the false ego is the one that needs to be smashed. But Tim and Kesava are also false. Because that's not our swarup. When we go back to the spiritual world, you won't look like this. It's a spiritual name, but this form you're seeing here is temporary. What I actually look like in the spiritual world is different to this. One time Prabhupada said, if you saw me, he said to Brahmananda Prabhu, he said, if you saw me, you would faint. What Prabhupada actually looks like in Krishna's pastimes in the spiritual world. So even this has to be given up. This is good because we're using this in Krishna's service, but we're using this in Krishna's service and eventually it will be burnt away and you'll come with your original swarupa, your original form. So yeah, whatever you've got, use it in Krishna's service. Whatever you're good at, do that for Krishna, and gradually that will become purified as well. Oh, that's a good question.
The second question is I made a mistake in the back to the
DDs.
When the Prabhu's chanting in the morning, a lot of them walk around chanting. So they thought their backs to the deities. Is that incorrect as well?
Walk around chanting.
Well, they walk around in circles and then they've got their backs.
Yeah, but the doors are shut. So that's okay.
But the deities are still...
Yeah, if the doors are shut, you can even sit with your back to them because the doors are shut. There's no offense. But if the door's open, right? It's like if you're sitting at someone's front door at their house and you're sitting there waiting for them and you've got your back to the door, there's no offense. But if they open the door and you don't turn around, that's offensive. Yeah, so it's the same with Krishna. Good question. I mean, offering prayers, what type of prayers? As opposed to like reciting prayers that have been written in the Shastra and repeating that. Or then offering some personal thing, is that what you're saying? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's all encompassing. It means all of it. The whole thing. Like sometimes I come through before the deities and, we offer standard prayers. Why do we offer standard prayers? Like things written by Rupa Goswami or Raghunath Das or, the prayers that we memorize and recite, because the reason we're offering those prayers, we're trying to understand the bhava or the emotion which they have in those prayers when they wrote them, and we're trying to offer those prayers in that mood. We don't have it yet, but we're trying to establish it or develop it. Like when we offer obeisances to Mahaprabhu, quite often we say, Namo Maha Vadanyaya, But we just say it like a parrot, like repetitively. But when you actually meditate on the mood in that prayer, it's very deep. That's what we should. Tears should actually begin coming from the eyes when we recite these prayers. So then we offer those prayers, but then we also come before the deities, and sometimes we pray for something specific for ourselves. We say, please help me. And then sometimes we may even have like a dialogue with the deities. We say to Krishna, I'm going through this right now, this problem. But then when you speak like that to Krishna, you have to say, you can't say, Krishna, remove this problem or like that. You have to say, Krishna, if you like, maybe you can help me with this. Because he might say, no, I want you to keep going through this. So then, so don't petition Krishna for something maybe he wants to do different. When I was a kid, I used to go to Sunday school, right? And I remember even now, they taught me this like 40 years ago or more. But I remember it even now. They said, whenever you pray to God, there will be 3 answers. Yes, no, or wait. Right? And even now, when I come to the deities, I always remember that. If I say something, Krishna, I'm going through this hard time, please help me. Krishna might give you 3 answers. Yes, I'll help you. No, I want you to keep going through it because it will purify you. Or wait. Another 50 years and then... So it's up to Krishna. Don't try to force him. It doesn't work like that. He knows better than us. So, is that okay? Yeah. Any other question? Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki?